we have any action items from the board?
Yes. As everybody is aware, there was an election last week, and unfortunately the budget did not pass. And I'm hoping that my remarks tonight, controversial though some of you may find them to be, will spur some sort of an honest conversation about the dynamics in this district, because we are headed on a crisis, a horrible, horrible crisis. And I want to refer specifically to some of the comments that were made in an editorial in the Journal News. One of the commenters there stated that one of the responses in this community to the failure to pass the budget was that children in our schools are walking up to their teachers, and apparently in response to the demographic makeup of this board, have been telling their teachers, many of whom are of the Jewish faith, that they hate Jews. Little children are spouting anti-Semitism and racism in our schools. I would love to believe that that was purely an isolated incident, but I can't do that. I can't do that because of things that have been said prior to my joining this board and during the course of time that I have been on this board. Prior to me joining this board, one of the very vocal pundits in the community stood up at a rostrum and raised the specter of Pontius Pilate and the accusation of deicide. When I ran for office, and since then, the term "no skin in the game" has become a very popular mantra. It's been stated to me, for example, that while perhaps those of us who do not send our children to public schools may have the legal right to seek and obtain this office, we are morally deficient in doing so, or that we lack the moral authority to do so. During another controversial period this past year, a young student stood up at that rostrum there and stated that as far as she is concerned, this board cares more about money and taxes than it does about people, suggesting that Orthodox Jews who do not send their children to the public school lack the moral authority to hold this office harkens back to the admonishments of St. Augustine, the Archbishop of Antioch in the 3rd century, who famously stated that the Jew should be allowed to live, but never be allowed to prosper. And that church teaching paved the road to Auschwitz and the crematoria of Treblinka, because it forever casted every single one of us, every Jew, not just Orthodox Jews, not just ultra-Orthodox Jews, unobservant Jews, every single one of us. It has casted us perpetually a societal and a cultural outsider throughout the millennia. And I will not tolerate, I will not have any such statement ever being made in this district. When a child stands up and says that we, this board, cares more about money than we do about people, that too raises an age-old anti-Semitic trope of Jewish obsession with money and that we lack any universal values. I won't have it. I simply won't have it. To suggest that we lack the moral authority to sit in these seats, let me tell you right now, is absolutely un-American and wrong. It flies in the face of the notion of constitutionalism in this country, because the enactment of rights in this country confers the moral authority upon anyone to exercise his right. You don't like it? Find yourself another place to live, because this is the United States of America.
Yes, it is.
Not only that.
Yes, it is.
I think that we've heard
I'm not
enough from
finished,
you.
ma'am.
I'm sorry, we've heard enough from you.
No, you have not.
I'm sorry, when it's time for our kids to speak, you put time on them and how long they could speak up here and how we could speak. I think we've heard enough of you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You've gone over your time of speaking. Where is your clock?
Thank you.
I've had enough.
Not only is it
Let's continue
un-American,
with the agenda. I would like to continue with the agenda.
thank you. Not only is it un-American, it's also illogical and stupid. Because if you want to say that Orthodox Jews don't have the right to legislate for public school children, then by extension, black people don't have the right to legislate when it affects white people. Women don't have the right to legislate when it affects men. And that is simply ridiculous. The dialectic is absolutely wrong-headed and only foments further and more horrible dissent in the community. The question is, what do we do about it? Because there's little doubt in my mind that that little girl who raised that trope about a lack of universal values in this community, she did so because she was repeating that which she had heard at home. You may turn your backs all you wish, people. I will be heard.
Trust me, we're listening to you.
There is no question about it that she repeated things that she has heard from other people, people whom she may respect. And if the community is not going to step up and educate our children properly, then I will do so, because that is my job as a commissioner of this Board of Education. Dr. Klein, I've done a small amount of research so far, and I will leave it to the other experts in your administration. But I have found so far that the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith, as well as B'nai B'rith, Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, as well as the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Los Angeles, all have curricular materials designed to teach the children about the evils of anti-Semitism and racism. At this time, as we're about to break for a summer recess, and we are going into a summer recess with the fullest authority that I have, and I think I speak for the majority of this board, if not all of it, although I hope for all of it, I want an anti-Semitism and racism curriculum to be created. I want it to be put in to every single class, kindergarten through the 12th grade, and we should absolutely preserve kindergarten if only for that purpose. And I want it to be required of every single student. A student doesn't complete that curriculum, they do not graduate. That's what I want. That's what I want to see happen. People in the community have criticized this board, and they have suggested to us that yes, we are overly focused on money, and they have asked us, where is our vision? Where is the direction that we want to take the board? Well, this is mine. I dream to create a Board of Education in a school district where we will teach our children to fulfill the words of the prophet Isaiah, that men will beat their swords into plowshares, their spears into pruning hooks, that no nation or group will ever lift up the sword against any other nation, and never shall we learn of war or conflict again. I yearn to educate students who will aspire to bring about the days when the wolf shall dwell with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the she-goat, and the calf and the lion shall be fattened together. Isaiah predicted that a little child would lead the world into that better place. And why can't it be one of our children? Shortly before he was assassinated, the Reverend Martin Luther King spoke about exactly this topic at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. And he called for much the same things to be established on a national level. And he concluded his remarks and he said, God grant that we will be participants in this newness and this magnificent development. If we will but do it, and will do it, and will bring about a new day of justice and brotherhood and peace. And that day the morning stars will sing together, and the sons of God will shout for joy. That's what I seek for our children. And I hope and invite all of you to join me in the journey.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. A small few minutes. Are there any action items from the board?